You're good.
We're on? All right. We'll get started. I'd like to welcome everyone to the July 10th, 2023 meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. I'm Jeff Benton, President of the Board this year. To my right is fellow Commissioner Barb Lewis and our Administrator Tracy Davies. And our Deputy Administrators Dawn Houston and Eric Hostetler are here today. Commissioner Merrill is absent. And our clerks, Jennifer Walraven, and Sarah Denote.
Oh, good, that's a new.
That's it, Jennifer.
I've
Jennifer,
done,
that's kind
I've
of a
done,
cool.
yeah.
Okay, we can begin.
Resolution number 23-590 in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held July 6, 2023.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 23-590. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment today. That brings us to item number 3, resolution number 23-591 in the matter of approving purchase orders and announced certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM-APR 0707 and memo transfers in batch number MT-APR 0707.
So moved.
Second, discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 23-591. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 23-592, in the matter of accepting the Sheriff's Office budget estimating the cost of operating the jail and feeding its inmates for 2024.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sheriff Jeff Balzer. I'm here today just to add a little more information to our estimated jail budget that we turned in June. I know sometimes that turns out to be a pretty good estimate. Sometimes we change it a little bit before we get to the fall. But I wanted to point out something just in case you're wondering why we had $3 million on there for a potential capital project at the jail. If you recall, last year we had a study by DLZ Architecture, kind of a future use study or the best use of the jail going forward. We originally started that because we knew that the patrol side of the building was moving out. We wanted to know what to do with the rest of the building. When we talked to the folks, we also decided to have them review the entire jail while they were doing this to make sure that we had the best possible use of the facility. Some of the things that we wanted them to especially pay attention to were the medical area, the kitchen area. Both of those are the original size for a 60-bed facility when it was built back in the late 80s. Also special housing, female housing, programming in classrooms, and other staff areas, kitchen and laundry too. And we've got good news. They do not recommend that we need a new jail, so that's good news. But they do recommend some changes, and these are things that we had noticed too. As Sheriff Martin said, and I've said too, we are under our population. Our rated population, the most we could have at the jail is 286, and we are that outlier. I've been to various sheriff's conventions and conferences. Most everyone else, their population is back to where they were pre-COVID or even going higher, and we are way below, which I think says a lot about the Stepping Up initiative and various things we've got in Delaware County. So I think we're doing a great job there. That having been said, our facility still was designed in the late 80s, and we would like to look at different ways to use our facility, our existing facility. So some of the things, again, that they looked at were the medical areas, the kitchen, and some of the different areas in the jail. Basically, they came up with a plan. And I forwarded copies of that plan to the commissioners if you've had a chance to look at it. It's kind of lengthy. Some of it is boilerplate. But they've got in there detailed recommendations as far as what they believe we should have moving forward. The estimated price on doing everything in there was between $12 and $15 million. Obviously, we're not asking for that all at once because we can't just shut the jail down and do construction. So we're looking at possibly phasing it in as we go. The overall function of the jail, it works now, but it's not ideal. And I give some examples. We have to have certain populations separated in the jail. Right now, if we've got trustees, these are inmate workers who help us out in the jail, or people who are serving a weekend in jail for whatever offense. They have to be kept separate from the rest of the population. Right now, that may mean that we're putting 3 or 4 people in a dorm area that's built for 24. It's not very efficient because we don't have a small separate housing unit to put them in. So this plan would work better as we move forward. What we'd like to do, the next step would be to have some detailed design work done. Because right now what we have is this plan moving forward, but we don't have detailed design work which will give us a good cost estimate of what this would cost. That's what I'm asking, and I know I've got an appointment soon. I'll be working with the county administrator to see about possibly getting funds to have a detailed plan made for these updates to the jail. I'd also recommend that, if possible, we stick with the architecture firm who did the plans. They've done an outstanding job. They are experts in the field, and they're the firm that's also building the new, or they've built the new Franklin County Jail, so they've got a lot of expertise in this area. So again, our goal for the future, I'd like to get the detailed plans, so that way we can look to see and put it in our budget for funding for next year to begin part of this, to work on the highest critical areas, which I think would probably be the medical and the kitchen, different areas, to get those moving first. Our goal is to have the jail be as efficient as possible. We project, and with DLZ, they projected too, that with the size of our facility, that should be sufficient for at least through 2035. Even with the growth of the county, we believe if we stay what we're doing in Delaware County, that we won't need to build on additional spaces for bed space at that time. These recommended renovations would actually increase it slightly, maybe 10 or 12 beds, but it's different type of housing. So we could have separate areas for the medical, because right now we've only got 2 cells for medical, and also for separatees. So I think it'd work out very well. So basically this morning is just a heads up. I wanted to explain what that extra $3 million was in the budget, and that we intend to work with the administrator, with the fiscal director, and also to come up with a request to possibly have more detailed plans and an estimate come forward so we can include that in our budget for next year. Do you have any questions of me?
Yes.
Yes.
I wondered about the patrol, men and women moving. How many roughly will be moving from the jail then to Bixby? Or to, I should say, to your new facility?
Just from that building or from our downtown facility also?
Both. Yeah, break down just roughly.
I'll come up with an estimate in my head. Probably the people that work out of there on a daily basis, I would say we're probably talking at least 75 at least, or 80.
Boy. Okay.
Because we've got our entire detective bureau, we've got our fiscal and administrative staff, we've got the patrol. Half of our deputies report to that to the north office to work
Okay.
out of there. And then we've got our property and evidence, our IT. So I think probably 75 or 80 is a good estimate then.
I didn't realize it was that many.
Yes. And also I want to throw out the average daily population right now for the jail. We're running between 130 and 140. And
Okay.
again, these numbers, I was recently at a convention of sheriffs, and I talked to one of our northern sheriffs in Ohio, and their county is much smaller than ours. I think their total population in their county is around 70,000, and their jail population is almost as much as ours. And he just was amazed how low ours was. And like I said, we are an outlier in that.
Gee,
Yeah.
boy. And that is due to a lot of hard work.
I think it is.
On your part
Well,
and everyone.
yeah,
and
it's a
with
community effort,
the
it really is.
community,
I think
right.
part of it has to do with the demographics of Delaware County too. I don't want to bypass that. But I think that the, like you said, the stepping up and other initiatives where we've got the courts, we've got the prosecutor's office, law enforcement across the county,
Right,
and our social services too.
right.
It really makes a difference.
It really does.
Yes.
Boy, it's great to hear.
that it?
I may think of something in a minute. Go ahead.
I had a couple of comments for you, Sheriff, and thank you. Good to see you addressing this group. I think this is the first time you've addressed us as sheriff.
I think
if
so
I'm not
too.
mistaken.
Thank you.
So, great to see that. Couple questions. There is jail funding available in the current budget. I don't know if you've researched that yet or not, but there may be some opportunities to help provide some funding, because we certainly send a lot of money to Columbus. It'd be nice to get a little bit of that back for targeted efforts like this.
It certainly would, and I think that's a good idea for us to apply for it. To be frank with you, I think our chances are kind of slim. When I've looked at the jails that have gotten funding in the past, a lot of them are the rural counties, southeastern, southern Ohio, eastern Ohio, and they're usually doing it because their jail population has grown so much. But that doesn't mean we can't try.
Right, right. Yeah, I'll be talking to Bill Byers, our legislative consultant, and see if, see what he knows. He's very knowledgeable
Sure.
about those sorts of things. Second question is, actually, Dean Stelzer was here the other day, and we talked about it. It was the jail, the charge per inmate per day.
Yes.
I think it's $83, and if you take the total cost of operating the jail divided by the population, it's way more than $83.
It is.
So maybe there's a way to look to increase those in the future to help defray the costs. Again, not looking for a profit, but to help defray the cost of operating that jail.
You're right, and I don't think we've ever run, to my knowledge, looking at past budgets, I don't think we've ever run where the cost per inmate actually makes up the entire jail budget. It's just larger than that. Just to explain quickly, the way we came up with that $83, the federal government, which we still house 10 to 12 federal inmates, they require a lot of paperwork for that. And so back, I think it was 2019, we did a very complete study and requested a reevaluation, because at that time our price was $65 per person. And they included everything, not just the sheriff's office, but they took part of the maintenance budget too, because maintenance has someone over in our jail every day helping us out. Payroll, all across the board. And they came up with that $83 amount. As part of that agreement to increase the price, we had to sign an agreement basically that we wouldn't request an additional increase for 5 years. We're coming up on that next year, I believe. So I would be interested in reaching out to that company again that helped us before. They did a really great job of helping that, to reevaluate that, because I expect our cost is going to go up from then. So that's something we're obviously
Okay.
looking to do.
Good.
And we try to keep the cost the same across the board. So we don't have one cost for the federal government, one cost for the local partners. It's a lot easier for everyone if we have one price across the board.
Sure, yeah, and that makes sense, be consistent. So, well, I appreciate that. It's good to know that next year we can look at
Yes,
the rate, because our costs certainly have gone up since 19.
yes, I have.
I didn't really have anything else. We do have to vote on the resolution.
Just one other comment on, I know both you and I have toured the new Franklin County facility, and it is amazing. So I think it's great that they did this work for us, and I do hope that we would also use them in the future to move ahead.
I agree, and the engineer, or the architect who's been working with us, he's extremely knowledgeable. This has been his career, about working on jails throughout Ohio, Indiana, and probably Michigan. And he's actually given us a lot of good insight, too.
Great, yeah.
Okay,
It's
good.
very impressive, that facility, gosh.
Okay, vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-592. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank
Yeah, we
you,
look forward to
Sheriff.
working with the administrator on the topic. Certainly want to keep our jail functioning and efficient. So, let's continue.
Item number 6, resolution number 23-593, in the matter of authorizing the amendment of a procurement card for the Emergency Management Agency.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Scott Stewart, Deputy Director, Delaware County Emergency Management. For your consideration this morning is an increase on the authorization from $1,000 to $2,500 for single day and single transaction limit for our procurement card. This would align itself with the authorized spending through the Executive Committee for the Deputy Director and the Director. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Questions, comments?
No, I want, just one other thing, though. I would like you, Scott, to just mention the LEPC meeting that we had the other day, just a little summary of that.
Yes, so we had our LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Commission meeting on Thursday. We were able to authorize the Delaware County Emergency Management Agency to handle the administrative responsibilities for the LEPC. And then we also were able to ascertain how many people wanted to be on the LEPC. We'll be bringing those names here before you in August. But we have a nice sized group of people that want to continue to participate and some new members that want to participate as well. Very important organization to work on making sure our community is safe when it comes to the facilities that we have that have chemicals here, and making sure that people have the ability to know what those chemicals are.
Yeah, one of the things that you always report on too are the spills.
Yes, we like to give an update.
Could you just get into that just a little bit?
Sure. So we as the LEPC, we are responsible for tracking how many spills happen in the county, I mean, releases of any type of chemicals and stuff. And most of the chemical spills that we see are usually due to automobile accidents, diesel, petroleum products, and the like. We've had a few unique ones. We had an incident last week, actually, where tar from a paving incident. They had a sealant that they put down that holds the asphalt to the ground, and actually got washed off because of a heavy rainstorm that came in. So it got into one of the retention ponds. We got a call from EPA, asked to help facilitate that, so worked with Orange Township Fire, and we're able to get that resolved. But things like that are some of the things that we deal with. So we're right about on par where we see for spills for the county for the year. So
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for your work on that.
thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-593. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye,
Thank you.
Thanks,
thank
Scott.
you.
Item number 7, resolution number 23-594, in the matter of approving amendments to the deeds of agricultural easements for the Ohio Agricultural Easement Purchase Program due to IRS safe harbor language.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Morning, Commissioner. Scott Stevens, Administrator, Delaware Soil and Water Conservation District. On behalf of two of our farmland preservation easement landowners seeking some language amendment to comply with some relatively recent IRS rulings as far as extinguishment and altering of acreage of the easement, just to comply with the tax deductions that they've taken as part of that easement. So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Are we going to see more of these with other?
I don't think
landowners?
so. We reached out to all the landowners
Oh, you did?
that would be eligible that had taken an IRS deduction for the easement, and I'm pretty confident this will be the only two
Okay,
at this point. So,
okay. All right. Vote, Jennifer?
Vote on motion 23-594. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do have
Thanks,
an
Scott.
item for other business today for the prosecutor's office. Resolution number 23-595, in the matter of approving an advance of funds for the prosecutor's office.
So moved.
Second, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Nicole Ford with the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. The 2020 COVID emergency grant funding through the Office of Criminal Justice Services that was recently awarded to our victim services providers as a reimbursement grant. I would like to request an advance of funds for the awarded grant in the amount of $17,500. This amount will be paid back to the Commissioners upon reimbursement from the Office of Criminal Justice Services.
Okay. Comments, questions? You going to introduce your special guest today?
Yes, this is my son, Benham, going into second grade.
All right.
I
Well,
think
welcome.
he came here, or came to the other building when he was born. So I was telling him, I was like, the last time I think that you were here was when I was on maternity leave.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. He's still awake. We're not putting him to sleep just yet.
He's getting close. He's keeping himself entertained.
All right, vote please, Jennifer.
Vote on motion 23-595. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks,
Thank
Nicole.
you, Nicole.
That brings us to administrator reports.
Nothing today.
Nothing.
Derek, anything? Good meeting. Commissioner Lewis?
Well, let's see, we've talked about the LEPC meeting last week, so, no, I can't think of anything.
Just one topic, Land Bank, we had our meeting Thursday, and there's a lot going on in the Land Bank world. The legislation, the state budget that just passed allocated another round of funding for both demolition and brownfield projects, similar to the first round from 2 years ago. And we need to get more details to make sure that the same sort of projects are eligible both for demolition and brownfield remediation. And we will get that out to the various jurisdictions, the cities, villages, and townships in the county, just to make sure that they know that this money is available to address blighted properties in their communities. Then there's also the original round from 2 years ago. There is significant excess funding available because the money that was allocated in the first round was not nearly spent. There's significant dollars available. In fact, Delaware County was kind of an example. Each county got $500,000 for demolition grants, and we had 7, I think it was, demolition projects identified and submitted for grant approval, all of which got approved, and the full $500,000 was spoken for. But when we actually did the demolition, all of them have been demolished, only $203,000 was spent. So we significantly overestimated the cost of demolishing all these projects. So what that means is we have almost $300,000 from the first round still available to help communities fund demolition projects. So anyway, we will get the word out when we learn more details in the coming weeks in terms of timing, exactly what projects are eligible, what replacement projects for the $300,000 is still available, might be available to use this in our county. But anyway, we will get that out, and let's see, and I think that's about it.
Well, how do you get the word out to people?
Well, we've spoken a lot informally, at various township meetings and with township officials and city, and of course, there are a number of the folks are on the land bank board, so they, like the city of Delaware always has representative. And so the first round, we put out a marketing initiative to make sure they all knew about it. The good news and bad news is, the good news is we don't have a lot of projects in the county that, need demolished. There are some, certainly, but we don't have a lot like so many communities do. And so there really aren't a lot. I mean, I was talking to Orange Township Administrator Michelle Bonney, and I asked her, do you think you have anything in Orange Township that might qualify? And she said, honestly, I don't know of any, at this point. So that's the good news. Bad news is we've got some money available that's not being used. But hopefully we'll try again. One of the key things about getting these grants approved is you have to have control of the projects. Everyone knows of rundown buildings in your communities, but if the township, city, village, county doesn't control it, either own it or be in contract to demolish it with the owner, then there's not a lot we can do, quite honestly, other than buy it at arm's length, which, is, I'm not sure that's our mission. So anyway, we'll get out more information and timelines and all that here in the near future.
Township Association maybe can
Yes,
help
yes,
that too.
yeah. We'll get on their
Yeah,
agenda for the next
yeah.
meeting. I think that's August or September, so.
Okay.
And we'll have all the details by then. Just one other thing, the British Open starts Thursday. It's the final major of this year's golf, right, Allie? Allie's gonna tape it, right? I'll watch it. Yeah, well, you don't even tape it. She watches it live. She's even more dedicated. So, anyway, last major this year. No executive session, Jennifer?
Correct, no executive session today.
Okay.
All right.
With no further business, we stand adjourned.